This is the second video for the Roper ROC pump, where we're going to show you how to rebuild an X25, X5, 01, 02, or 03 pump using a rebuild kit. This is where we ended in the first video, where we have the pump completely disassembled. These are the parts that you'll need to reuse. The tools required for reassembly are the same as what was used in video 1. Your rebuild kit comes with new gears, replacement O-rings, stationary seal ring, stationary seal, mechanical seal, and new bearings. There's also a replacement snap ring. Go ahead and unpack the parts, inspect them, and be sure they're all there. When you unpack the mechanical seal, you'll notice there's tape wrapped around it that's holding staples in. Those will be removed prior to assembly. The staples are used to keep compression on the spring inside the seal. When you remove the staples, you also can see the set screw that locks the seal onto the pump shaft. Also unpack and inspect the new pump bearings. That's the entire contents of the rebuild kit. Prior to starting reassembly, be sure to clean all surfaces of the pump body that we will reuse, including the gasket seat and the lubrication hole. Also be sure the shaftway is clean. There are O-rings with your kit that you will use to be sure the pump is sealed. Place the O-rings in the machine groove. Be sure to fit them in and don't let them stick out of the groove. Again, clean the pump body thoroughly and be sure no debris is left in it, in both the inlet and outlet ports and the pump cavity itself. There are pins that index the body, and you can see you just simply line them up. Be sure the gasket's in place, and you'll put the body together. Once you put the body together, again lining it up with the pins, then you can start to fit the new bearings in. Slide a set of bearings down, and then you can install your drive shaft and your idler shaft. Another set of bearings will go on the outside of these shafts to support the opposite side of the gear set. The end plate will go on, and again, be sure to clean the gasket groove. Use the new O-ring. Fit it into place. And then using the bolts that you removed, put the plate back on. When you put the pump back together, tighten the bolts in a crisscross fashion to be sure it tightens down squarely. Snug the bolts up. Now we'll tackle rebuilding the seal. The first step is to reinstall the snap ring. We're using snap ring pliers to slide it over the shaft, and then a set of picks to push it down so it reseats in the snap ring groove. You'll hear it click into place. Next, the mechanical seal will be installed. Make sure your set screws are loose enough to let it slide over the shaft. And then you'll want to firmly press it into place. There's a Teflon seal on the ID, so we use a rag here to just get it started over the shaft. Slide it down into the body, and then, using the inspection ports on the side, you'll use your hex key to retighten the seal onto the shaft. The snap ring on the shaft is intended to be the bottom point for the seal, but it's better to lift up a little bit using the hex key as you tighten the set screw to be sure that the spring will engage between the mechanical seal and the stationary seal. Remember, there are 2 set screws, so after you tighten one, you'll have to turn the shaft and tighten the other. The stationary seal gets an O-ring that was included in the kit. Slide it over the shaft, press it down against the body, and check to see that the mechanical seal spring has action against the stationary seal. Then you'll put the retaining plate on, the lock nuts, and tighten it in a crisscross pattern. And tighten them all the way down until they bottom out against the body. You'll have to reinstall the plug that lets you have access to the set screws, but be sure to put thread sealant or Teflon tape on it. Before reinstalling the shaft key, you should clean up any marks on it with a file to be sure it slides freely into the coupling upon reassembly. When you reset the key into the shaft, it's best to squeeze it in with a pair of pliers or in a vise. Do not try to tap it in with a hammer. Any sideways motion on the shaft will translate down into the seal and potentially break it, and you'll have to replace it immediately. After the pump is rebuilt, we suggest a temporary test rig with a valve on the inlet and discharge side so you can purge the air, fill the pump with liquid, and pressure test prior to reinstallation.